Hey you, look, so I watched this incredible Alex Hormozi video, Building a Brand, but it's on easy mode, and wow, it is packed with value, but I decided to check out the comments and noticed there's a lot of folks who aren't at the level to be able to implement his advice because they don't have big budget, they don't have established platforms, and so here's the top 10 objections that I could find from the comments with my ideas on how you can start putting some of these ideas to work for your brand, even if you're starting from zero with no budget and no credibility needed. I'm Dominic, founder of Saga Brand. It's a startup to help other self-starters like me and you build brands that matter from idea to influence in 100 days. I've been writing novels for about 25 years and working full-time in marketing and branding for about 10 years. I'm sharing everything I know because I field test all of my ideas on my own brands first. I hope it's helpful to you so that you can build an amazing brand and maybe someday come back and hire me to help. If not, enjoy, and let's figure this out together. Okay, so here's how I saw his video. It's solid, it's tactically smart, it's brutally clear as always, 100% useful. If you're trying to grow fast and you don't care too much about meaning, but what if you do? What if you're the founder who's already built a team and now you're trying to unify your people around a shared story that feels like you, not just another positioning statement in a slide deck? What if you're a business owner who's amazing at your craft, but you keep stalling out when it comes to telling people what your brand actually stands for? Or what if you're the creative, the one with the powerful message, you got a fire in your chest and no idea how to turn that into something that people want to follow and rally behind? So that's where I live. That's where Saga Brand comes in. And watching Alex Hormozi's video, I couldn't help thinking, yeah, this works. But if you're building a funnel, what if you're trying to build a flag, something worth gathering around and something that lasts? So let's talk about that. So we'll start with his core message, right? Brand is promise plus proof plus path. And I think it's a solid framework. I mean, obviously, because he's amazing. Promise, make a bold claim. Proof, show it's legit. Path, let people follow you. Give them a way to do that. So it's great, again, if you're selling a product or if you're trying to grow a business fast, but if you're trying to build like, I don't know, a legendary brand or a saga brand, well, you need to go further. You need a call, what mission are you answering? A quest, what journey are you inviting people into? A code, what values shape how you show up? And then a clan, who are you building this with and for? Branding isn't just about attention and conversion. It's about creating meaning. It's the difference between we sell protein bars and we help modern warriors fuel the fight. So here's why I think most people mess up branding. And here's the hint. They're not telling a story. Most people out there are building brands like vending machines. You input content, you expect cash. And Hormozi's calling them out, and I'm cheering him on. But even Hormozi, for all of his muscles and millions, he's playing within the frame of value-driven capitalism, which is good. But there's another layer. There's myth, there's meaning, there's mission. Your brand isn't just a content strategy. It's a story people want to live in. If they don't see themselves in your brand, they're gonna keep scrolling or they won't come back, right? So if you want to build a tribe and if you want that, you want loyalty, you want your people to talk about you when you're not in the room, you got to give them more than value. It's better to hand them a sword and point to the horizon. So here's what Hormozi does right, and here's why it works. I'll say this, the man knows what he's doing. His content isn't trying to impress you. It's trying to move you, to get you to do something. And it's great. He's not talking at you. He talks like someone who's been through it, face first, lost it all, and got up twice again. People respect that because that's his story. That's struggle. Honestly, that's a saga right there. He's also laser clear on this. Organic content is for trust. Ads are for selling. Build first, ask later, always. Now, I can't tell you how many brands fail because they try to skip this. It's like proposing marriage on the first coffee date. Like, chill. Build the goodwill. Build trust. Make people want to hear from you. I just saw Daniel Priestley from Scorecard said this in a recent interview. Create content for the 90% and give it away. Just put it out there because it's the 10% who are actually going to buy from you. And they're the ones who'll be impressed by how you treat perhaps the rest of the 90% or the credibility that you demonstrate with that. Might be paraphrasing, but it feels true to me. Okay, so here's comment number 10. What if I don't have the money to run ads? And here's what I think. You're in the best position possible. It's been my position for 10 years because you have no choice but to earn attention the honest way. So start by sharing what you're learning as you go. Show your mess. Show your process. I'm terrible at doing that. Getting better. Let people feel the transformation that you're on. That's what builds connection. Think of your content like fires in the night. The right people will find you by the light. Plus, the algorithms today on YouTube and on social are actively trying to help this happen. There's a shift going on right now. They're surfacing a lot of smaller creators because they know that it's really valuable to provide new voices. So I am going all in and testing this too, which is why I'm growing this channel. See if I can figure out what people say when they go, YouTube's on easy mode, brand's on easy mode. Okay, let me go and test it. That's what we're doing here. So here's the value. No money means no distractions. It's just mission. So write or speak, share, and then repeat. So question number 9, should I build a personal brand or a company brand? So here's what I think. Your personal brand, Gary Vee says this, your personal brand is your reputation. Today, it's different than it was 50 years ago or even 20 years ago before social. Back then, you could create like a personal brand or you could cultivate a reputation, and unless something massive happened, it basically stayed that way unless you got involved in a massive scandal or something, Whereas today, your reputation, it's like you are always online. Your profiles are always online. What you post and what you say is always being shared online. So you can't hide anymore. So that can be actually a really good thing. It's like if everybody knows everything that you say, okay, 80%, 90%, you can't hide. You can't have a profile for, like Gary says, you can't have a profile for the boys and one for your family and one for your people at work. People are very quickly going to see, unless you air gap them really, really carefully, and that's a whole nightmare mess situation. But people are going to get a very quick sense of who you are on video versus who you are in person. What's the best outcome, best situation is you're the same version of you because it's just the real you. You are you, owning who you are and not pretending. Now, there is a point where this can go too far, where people go, yeah, radical authenticity, right? And be careful about that because being a jackass is not the same thing as radical authenticity. And there's some people who go, yeah, I'm the same every single time. That's not actually helpful. You have to modulate or present who you are in a slightly different way depending on the situation that you're in, because you care for who it is that you're dealing with, who you're talking to. But if people watch you over a long period of time, they're going to see it's actually you. You are the actual real thing. Now, when you go to start a brand, it's a bit like putting on a superhero mask. And you're going to take a part of you, and then you are going to consistently be that part of you every time that you do that branding thing. So, which one should I build, personal brand or company brand? This is my opinion. Keep yourself, but build a mask. You can be Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne can be just a flawed human being. He creates a persona for Batman, and then every time that he puts on that mask, he is consistently, or he tries to be, consistently is Batman. He creates a specific attitude, idea, outcome, context, response. In a situation, Batman always responds this way, has specific rules he never breaks, right? We always know what to expect from Batman. We don't always know what to expect from Bruce Wayne. And so the reputation is what everybody says about you as a human being. Leaning that into the building of a brand can help you build a good brand because you are able to be present as a human person. So, still working through this answer. The question is, the answer I think is you already have a personal brand because you already are that. And then you're like the Eiffel Tower, and then you create a bunch of little stores, around the base of the Eiffel Tower. You are the tower. People see you. The more that you create content and you put things out there and you say what you think, and then people can get a chance to work with you or operate with you in the specific areas that you give them a chance to work with you, which one of them could just be, this is my company or my brand, or this is how you come to work with me. So the question technically is, it's a bit of a cheat sort of, response. You're actually building both, and one can reinforce and support the other. All right. Comment number 8. What if I don't have an audience? And here's my reply. That is perfect. So what's great about that is you're not speaking to a crowd. You're speaking to one person. That's how content begins, how channels begin. You're trying to build one friend at a time. That's how all great stories begin. You got a mentor, you got a hero, you got a moment that mattered. And so create for the person that you used to be. Speak with honesty and not hype. There are some who are able to follow a consistent output, and that can be fantastic. There are others who just can't make it work, and so they're going to focus on quality instead of quantity. Obviously, the best situation is to be able to put out lots of quality. That can be very hard to do, especially if you don't have enough life experience. You haven't just been through enough situations to have learned the lessons to where what you can share is helpful for other people when you just go and start a daily show, or you sit down for an hour in front of YouTube and you just share what you think, right? If you haven't done anything, well, sitting down in front of a camera isn't going to actually help because you don't have the life experience. Go out and do that. But then if you put yourself in the position of, I'm going to learn faster and harder than anybody else I know. And maybe I'm going to share what I'm learning. And these are working theories, and I reserve the right to change my mind as often as I need to, right? That can actually be, I have found that to be an insanely helpful mind trick that you turn yourself around. Instead of showing up as, I'm the leader in chief of my tribe, what if you go, I'm the learner in chief of my tribe. I will learn faster and harder. And again, if you follow Hormozi, and I love how his attitude, right? I will outwork everybody. I may not be as smart as the next person. I'm definitely not as smart as the next person, but I will absolutely outwork everybody, and I will outtest everybody within the energy that I have and the bit of freedom that I can do, because I'm a self-starter, just like you, just like me. We want to do something, we find a way to figure it out, and then we test it, and then we learn from that. And then here's what I'm doing with this channel, trying to share that. And maybe this video doesn't get a ton of views. It's not the point. Maybe the point is I try to connect with just you, and maybe we have a nice conversation or a comment together, and we grow together. So if you don't have an audience, that's okay. That's where everybody starts, from zero. Okay, I'm too young, too new, too average. Well, I kind of touched on that a little bit. So cool. I think that can make you the most relatable person in the room. People always, how do you say, they don't want to learn from someone who's on the mountaintop shouting down wisdom. You can land in those kinds of videos and then realize, oh, this isn't actually for me. Or this is awesome advice. How do I apply it to my situation? That part we can't figure out, and so then we do nothing. So we want the guy in the trenches who's right next to them, figuring it out with muddy hands and hope in their eyes, right? Maybe that can be you. You're not the guru. Own that. You're the guide. Maybe you're 2 steps ahead or 2 weeks ahead of the person who's following your channel, or other people who are kind of like you, who like your tone, like your vibe, like the way that you go about things. Maybe, when you think about the people that you like following who are teaching you, like on YouTube or other platforms, who you are and how you approach things, the energy you bring, stories you bring, the attitude that you have, just the cards that you have been dealt in life, all of those are going to factor in how you talk about and think about what you've got to say. Own that, because that can be valuable. And maybe it's not going to work, and that's okay. But until you try, you don't know. So being too young, too new, too average, okay, maybe we can argue with any of those. I don't think that anybody is technically average. I don't actually know what that means. Try to be 2 steps ahead and willing to turn around, give a hand up to somebody who's behind you. All right, next comment. How do I know what to learn myself versus what to delegate? Here's my thought. It's a simple test. I think if it's core to your voice, keep it. If it's like noise, or it's busy work, or if it's mechanics, that's the part you delegate. You don't want to outsource the heart of your brand, which is the vision, the story, the values. Effectively, it's the humanity in it. Those they're like your sword. Like, you have to wield those well. Now, everything else, you can automate it, template it, toss it. If it doesn't advance the quest, well, it can be clutter. There's this book out there called 10x is easier than 2x, and it's an amazing book. Read it through at least once. Read it badly, it's instantly going to be helpful to you. But here's one of the takeaways when it comes to answering this kind of question. The author makes the point that 80% of what you do is probably stuff that you hate, and there's the 20% that's stuff that you're actually really good at and that you actually want to do. And so his advice is this: if you can do it, Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you do have to grind for a bit until you level up, and maybe you create some extra income, or you can inspire somebody to step on board with you and help you do it. That 80% is the stuff that you want to delegate or have AI do it or give to somebody else or hire a VA or partner with a friend. That 80% of the stuff that you hate doing, that you're not good at, you don't want to do, give that to somebody else who absolutely does and absolutely loves it and will kill it doing it. And then you focus on the 20% that you are incredible at doing. Now, the rest of the book is great because then it's like, after a period of time, that 20% becomes your new 100%. And then you decide, out of this, there's 80% of this which is actually a waste of my time. And then you focus on the new 20%. And then you delegate that 80% to somebody else, and then you focus on that 20%, and then you just do that. Because you and me, we have limited time. We have limited time, limited energy, and it doesn't make sense to waste our time, our life and our time doing the 80% of the stuff that everybody says, well, just has to be done. When it's like the world there's way too many interesting people in the world. There's way too much good that needs to be done. There's way too much cool stuff to do. And there are a ton of people who would love to take off of your plate that 80% stuff that you hate. So it's just a matter of finding them. Now, a lot of answers to that. Maybe that's a different question. So Hormozi is awesome about you do it first, you write down the process, you template it, you record a Loom video, or he didn't say that, I'm saying this, record a Loom video, use Scribe or something, and pass that on to somebody else so that they follow your process that works because you have done it. And then that frees you up, and all of a sudden you get your energy back, because now the amount of output that you're going to get from something will match the input because you love what you're doing. All right. Next comment. How do I get people to believe in what I'm building? So I don't know that you can get them to. People don't believe what you say. They're going to believe what you live. So if you show up consistently, if you tell the truth, it's always great to share the behind the scenes, the doubts and wins. Video can be so awesome because it's instantly human. And if you show up and you're consistent, and especially if people can start to see over time, you're a consistent person. You're not just bragging about your Bentleys or your Murcielagos. I don't know anything about cars. You say that you're this kind of person. Do you consistently show up doing that over time? I just learned a stat the other day. Google, I think, said it. It takes 7 hours worth of content to feel like you've actually built a relationship with people. So it means you need to put at least, it could be 7-hour-long videos. It could be 70, 10-minute videos, You have to spend time with people. And then if people see that you're consistent, your messaging is consistent, your attitude is real, you're not trying to lie just to get them to give you money. How many channels have you seen where people do that? Or they just don't know what they're talking about, So you don't get somebody to believe what you say. Show up consistently. Try to be a mirror with them. Help them see themselves more clearly, Don't just be a megaphone and blast at people. I think when your mission is real, your story can become magnetic. When your story is magnetic, then belief is inevitable. Okay, how do I stand out when there's so much noise? Now that's a fun question. First, say something true. Don't just say something trendy. True stories, they'll slice through noise like swords. So don't compete with louder voices. You can focus on resonating deeper. I don't remember who it was who said this, but I think this is a massive truth, and it's been proven to be true over the last 10, 20 years, since the advent of Google and the advent of SEO and the advent of black hat and white hat SEO tactics, and now what's happening now with AI and the slog of AI content that's out there. What is going to happen? We're going to get more AI that's going to help filter out what is purely generated from what is actually human and personal. This is, I think it's absolutely true that with all of this AI content, for example, right now, with all of the noise that is happening, there's a couple of things we have to pay attention to, or just remember. Yes, there's a lot of noise, and yes, there's new people creating channels and content all the time. But here's what's also happening: most of them don't stick with it. I think that the podcasts that are out there, 80% of them are over. They're done. They do not continue. So if you create 8 episodes, I think you're already in the top 1% of podcasts. Just 8 episodes, as opposed to when you just keep going. A lot of people start them and then stop. So one, if you just keep going, you're going to outperform everybody because most people start and most people don't continue. So if you can find a way to create a system where it can work for you and you can pace yourself, you're automatically going to start winning more than everybody else. So that's one thing that maybe will be helpful. It's helpful for me. Maybe it's helpful for you. Second thing is, there's so much AI content out there, right? Well, you know what's also going to happen is we're already seeing this. I mean, I like using AI. I think it's helpful to use AI. And I also get really annoyed when I can see somebody pulled the lazy card, had AI do completely all the work, or they wrote about something that's outside their expertise, and there's no human actually involved sharing what's actually helpful. We're going to see new tools that are going to keep downplaying, purely AI slop, and maybe AI empowered people or just real creators are going to continue rising to the top the way that they always have. We're going to take a dip, we're going to take a hit for a minute, and then we're going to pull back up because what do humans want? You want it, I want it. We want real connection with real people that we can trust, who actually see us, who actually understand us. And it is just an instinctive human thing, and it is an amazing human thing that will never go away. A person wants to see and be seen by another person. And the moment that we start to wonder, are you actually all there? Maybe, or are you not safe? Or are you fake? Are you an AI? There's a point where it's going to come where we're going to disconnect and we're going to need to find something different. We hunger for another person. I think we're in a confusing time right now where we treat AI like it's actually intelligent, and we get into relationships with it and we overbelieve in it. There's a whole conversation about the default mode network. Google that. What happens when you're so overstimulated by content that parts of your brain that are like, here's the baseline of how you're supposed to be using your attention as a human being, and you don't have that activated at all because you're so overstimulated by, brain rot and just over too much content, that you stop being able to tell the difference between something that is actually real and a real person and the ability to create human connections. So this is not to say that content is bad and that AI is bad, but that if you show up as a human and you're real and you do it for long enough, crowds will show up. Not just the crowds. Your people will show up and the algorithm will reward that because the algorithm only has one desire, which is to help put you in front of your people. At least that's what I'm banking on. That's why I'm going all in with this YouTube channel. Okay. I want to build a brand. Next comment. I want to build a brand. I'm scared I'm going to mess it up. And so here's my reply. You will. That's the point, and that's okay. Your brand, it's the story of how you keep showing up even when you fall flat. You fall over 10 times, you get up 11. I love that scene from Captain America where he's getting punched out beginning of the movie and he gets up and he goes, I could do this all day, right? Those are the kinds of people, we love to follow. I love to follow them. Maybe you do too. They're the ones who make it work, who keep showing up and who don't quit. I don't know about you. I would trust somebody like that. I would want to follow somebody like that, as opposed to someone who gets punched the first time and stays down because, life is hard and I'm a victim and I don't know. Okay, but there's a point in our lives where we're not in control of everything that happens, and sometimes we have no ability to respond to what's going on. That's different than to being a victim and chronically playing a victim. I don't think self-starters do that. Self-starters know sometimes I'm having to punch above my weight, and sometimes it is frankly impossible, and there's no door, and I got to find a window. I'm going to carve my own door or create my own path. But we don't quit. We pivot. We create a new opportunity. We learn. But we do it because there's a fire in us. We've got to keep going. So don't be afraid that you'll fall flat, right? Every misstep is going to be a part of your mythology. Every flop is a future anecdote that makes people maybe laugh and nod and follow you. The only way that you do mess up is if you stay silent and you stand down and you don't keep going. Okay. Somebody has another comment. I'm not good at design. I'm not good with messaging. I'm not good with content strategy. Where do I even start? So, a thought, you can't do everything. So how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So forget the polish. Start with your point of view, your edge, your belief, the thing that sets you apart. You don't need perfect, but you do need to show up. Just, you'll figure out design later. You can hire somebody to do design. Strategy, the whole strategy of the thing can come later. But right now, clarity, I think, is your power move. Get clear on what you stand for. Here's what can feel annoying. Say it 100 different ways. That's branding. Everything else is aesthetics. Now, aesthetics will help. Aesthetics will be fuel to the fire to help more people see and trust you on site. And a clear strategy is going to help you to stay consistent. But if you have one thing that you want to say, and if you can find 50 different ways, 100 different ways to say it, and then you just keep saying it, again, it's a mask. You're a superhero, and you're putting on a mask because you're going to show up and you're going to say the Batman thing every single time the mask goes on. And what might seem boring for you doesn't come across as boring for your people or your audience. It's going to come across as consistent. So we get bored of our messaging before anybody else does, long before anybody else does. It's all we see and think. For them, we are one thing in 1,000, like 8,000 things that they're having to process throughout their day. So if you're the one thing that shows up and is consistently, here's what I'm about, here's what I do, here's who I help, here's how we do it. Whenever you're ready, come and show up, and I'm here to help you. If you're consistently doing that, you will learn by doing. Okay, last comment here. Isn't all of this just more hustle culture in disguise? Here's what I think. It's only hustle if you're building someone else's dream. That, fake kind of hustle. There's a good hustle. There's a good grind, right? But if you're building somebody else's dream, that's where you can burn out. Or if you're doing it in somebody else's way, in a way that doesn't honor and work for who you are. Who you are is vital in this. If you want it to last, right? This is your mission. If you're trying to build something that reflects your values, that serves your people and creates meaning, then it's not hustle. It's devotion. Make sure you're not sacrificing your soul on the altar of algorithms. Then it's a matter of like tail wagging the dog, like who's driving, who's in charge here, right? You borrow the power of the algorithm to help you find your people, to stay connected with your people, and so that your people help you find more people. But if you're just showing up and you're just playing with whatever game the algorithm seems to be telling you, then I think everybody that I am learning from when they talk about like YouTube algorithms or any algorithm, stop thinking about an algorithm as a robot we have to game or play or hack. Think about it as who are the people out there? Because the algorithm will put your content in front of people, gauge their reaction to you, and then if it's good, give it to more people. It may not be that you're good enough. It may be that you need to put yourself on like a 30-day challenge. If this is the first time you're starting something, you need to skill up and level up. I am chronically awful about stuff. I am building this channel because I need to show up and level up at just showing up. That's what the skill I have to now create with a YouTube channel. So this is what I'm trying to practice what I preach. I'll tell you what I learned. And along the way, I'm trying to field test and understand the advice, and I want to share it with you if I can. So play the long game. Lead from a place of that's real. If you're leading from a place that you don't believe in, you will burn out because it will not be true. I like how Gary Vee, he's bullish about this and trying to encourage young people to step up and get into business. Start with something that you love and that you believe in. And Hormozi actually has a counterpoint to it. But if you're going to put a ton of time into something, start with something that you love and that you believe in that does matter to you. If you can figure that out, if you can't figure it out, go and do just like anything that kind of feels okay to start learning the process, and then you'll learn by doing and realize, okay, it's definitely not this. Then try something else. You only fail if you never do anything. Now, Hormozi also has a really good point where he's like, don't just follow your passion, because the funny thing is you can get passionate about what it is that you get good at because you enjoy that. You can create those pathways in your brain that's like, hey, I'm really good at this. Let's do more of that. So that can happen. There is also a danger of monetizing your passion and then ruining your hobby, right? Because you monetized it, because you turned it into a system, because you made that hobby or that thing that brings you life, you put that in everybody else's, court, and you became their dancing monkey. And now all of a sudden, what used to bring you life and joy can become something that you hate. So you have to be really careful. I know this. I love writing novels. Hey, so I went and started a community to write, novels with other people. And now I realize I have to be really careful that I don't weaponize or monetize my own interests just because I want to win at this one particular brand. And so I ended up taking myself completely offline for almost a year from my creativity and my writing, because I need my creativity and writing to actually be real and that I am free to do it, not because I am using my own passion for writing novels and stories and putting that at the service of building a brand. Instead, what I've learned after messing around with storytelling, I've learned branding and marketing is something that is storytelling, but in a business context. Well, I like that, and I can become passionate about that. And so I've leaned into that, and I've kept for myself the part that's actually real and true. So I can hustle on the branding and marketing because it's good and I can get passionate about it, but I can also disconnect from it. Whereas the thing that's deeply true, I can build my own consistency, I can build my own schedule around that, and I cannot lose sight of why it's valuable to me, so it continues to bring me life. So just be careful about how hard you go on what it is. Like for me, I don't think I could be a good plumber. That would not be something that I love. But I can, I think, be good at branding and marketing and storytelling for businesses because it's connected to a thing that I definitely love doing and I will sacrifice my free time doing. Okay, so don't just build attention. Here's my closing thought. It's a saga, right? Your saga, you're in it for the long run. Don't just build attention. Try to build an adventure. What does that look like? And maybe here's where I part ways with a lot of standard branding advice. I don't see branding as just for marketing. Marketing is for brand. It's different. Marketing is like myth making. If you're in it for the long run, if you're a pop-up stand, if you're just like all your brand exists for is to just sell a specific product, well, branding you're going to have a hard time with branding. Because branding is a bigger, wilder, more adventurous idea, and then a product is a way that somebody buys into or participates in or gets involved with what your brand is. Branding is much bigger, and Gary's bullish about this. Alex is now realizing he's all in on this. When you build a brand, you could sell anything. Gary Vee says this fun thing: sales is for people who suck at brands or branding. And I think that's a really funny line. I think there's a lot of truth to it. I might do a video on that at some point. So what I think about it. If your audience, I think, can't feel or connect with what you're building and why you're building it, not just understand it, like, oh yeah, this could maybe help me, but you want them to feel like it, what does that mean? On the inside, they want to be a part of this. If they don't feel like that, then they're not going to want to follow you. So the cheat code, I think, your brand is a saga. So it's going to have a beginning, which is your origin story. It's going to have a middle, which is going to be your messy progress of figuring it out. And then it's going to have like an end, which is the change, the transformation that you help create for somebody else, right? And so then that's your part of the saga, but it's also going to have characters. It's going to have your team. It's going to have your clients. It's going to have your audience. They're not just customers. They're companions with you on a bigger mission, a bigger adventure. So if you want loyalty, if you want word of mouth, you want a movement, start telling better stories. Start trying to live a bigger one, invite others in, and then just straight up tell people what you're doing and what you think matters and where you're going with it, and then what you're going to do about it, and let people know how they can be a part of it. So here's some TLDR stuff. I think don't pitch in every post, okay? Earn the right to ask by give value, tell the truth. 2, use content to build trust. Like Alex says, use ads to drive action. Don't mix the two because it's messy. And I kind of like Alex's approach. Give, and then give, and just keep giving. Demonstrate so much trust and credibility that people are like, okay, how do I work with you? I want you to work with me. At that point, you're not having to sell anybody. They're already sold. I love that approach. That's my working theory. I'm all in on that. 3, try documenting your journey. Don't manufacture it. I'm now trying to do that too on this channel. Follow, maybe it'll be helpful and we can figure this out together. You don't want always polish from everybody. We do want progress together. Focus on the transformation, not just information. So help your audience become who they want to be. I'm hoping I can help you because I want to be that kind of person too. Maybe we can figure it out together. And then lastly, build a brand that feels like a story worth joining. I think that your brand can be an adventure. I think my brand feels like an adventure from the inside out because the stakes are high. I've got to get stuff figured out. There's a chance to go all in and figure out a way to make stuff happen. And then there's really cool outcomes if we make it work. And then we share the journey and you do the same. And then we both inspire each other. I want to see where this story goes. So you don't need a six-pack. Unless you can. I mean, I wish I did. I don't. You need a software company. You don't need that. You don't need a fancy investor deck. I think what you do need is clarity. You need some way to have commitment to what you're doing, and then a brand that isn't afraid to sound like a war cry. And I think the only way that you can build that kind of brand is to live it. Now, one of the major things that's probably going to be holding you back from being able to take a step on all of this is mindset and thinking about your life and what makes the good life and why you're doing this at all, because I'm assuming you want to build a brand that has meaning. If it matters to you, then first thing you got to do is figure out who am I and why should I, what is the life that I want to live? If I know what that is, and if I can get really clear about that, then I can align the brand to help me reach that goal. If you do just want getaways in the Amalfi Coast and Murciélagos, then that is awesome. Own that. Those can be good things to want. That's not what I want out of life. I want a very specific kind of freedom. I want to be free on the inside, in myself, and I want to be free to do an insane amount of good. And if that kind of thing interests you, I've got this video that I recorded, which is like how to live the good life and how I'm trying to break free. Go ahead and watch that because that might be helpful to help clear out your mind so that you can start building the habits that are going to start being helpful for you.